Death at Devil's Bridge, Chapter 3. God sends meat, and the devil sends cooks. Thomas de Luny, Works, 1600. But in the kitchen things were not well at all. Sarah Pratt was rushing to assemble the lobster bouchées, cooked lobster and mushrooms stirred into a Mornay sauce and piled into delicate pastry cases. The sauce had scorched, in consequence of the gas jet being turned too high. Worse, Mrs. Pratt's hand was trembling so violently from nerves, the gas, after all, might explode at any moment, that she had snipped a great deal too much fennel into it. And there was Harriet, the kitchen maid, standing beside the cooker, weeping, her finger in her mouth. She had carelessly stuck it in the gas flame when she attempted to remove the kettle. "I don't care tuppence for your finger, Harriet," Sarah Pratt snapped. "The soup's already gone up, and the lobster must follow without delay. Put these pastries into that miserable oven to brown. 5 minutes only, not a minute more." Sarah spoke with a greater certainty than she felt. 5 minutes would have been quite adequate in her steady, predictable coal range with the capacious oven, which had been a fixture in her kitchen for over 2 decades now. But with the new gas cooker, which Sir Charles had installed in place of the dependable iron range, was an unknown temper. Perhaps the cases should be browned for 7 minutes, or 10, or even more. "Watch," she commanded. "Don't let 'em burn on their bottoms." "Yes, Mum," Harriet said, eyeing the cooker as if it were the devil itself. Sarah turned to the next task, preparing the hollandaise sauce that would go up with the salmon after the joint. Then there were the carrots to cream, and the peas to be cooked with the lettuce and tiny onions, and the sweet to send up, a gooseberry fool ready and waiting in the galvanized box under the ice tray, and then the savory ham croquettes wrapped in bacon and fried, and to finish off, the black currant ice, which had been worked in the ice pail that afternoon by Harriet and Nettie. It was a menu of which Sarah might be proud, and yet she trembled, remembering the charred roast pork of the previous evening and the cheese soufflé that had emerged, cratered from the gas oven. Disaster was doomed to be revisited on Sarah Pratt's kitchen, however, for the bottoms of the lobster bouchées turned black rather than brown. The hollandaise curdled, the vegetables were cooked to a pulp, and the savory was as soggy as old sponge. When the black currant ice went up and Sarah could at last lower her stout frame into her chair, she was near to tears. "'Tis that cursed cooker," Bess Gerton said darkly. "A tool of the devil himself." She spoke from the opposite side of the fire, where she sat with her injured ankle propped on a stool, the cat on the floor beside her, and her wet, muddy cape spread over a chair. "We've both been cursed," Sarah said. "'Twould been a carriage instead of Lord Marston's motor car that come round the corner. You could have got out the way without mishap." "And poor old Jessup," Bess Gerton muttered, reaching down to stroke the cat. "Gave me quite a start, finding him like that, face up in the ditch. Stark staring dead he was." "But it wasn't Lord Marston's motor car that killed him," Harriet reminded her, wringing out the washing-up cloth. "You said he didn't bear a mark." "Yes," Bess replied slowly, "but it might still been a motor car. Say he died of fright, being near run down." "Who killed him then, I'd like to know?" "Young Jessup too. Who come along not 2 minutes after I found his old dad. He was asking that question. 'Suppose me dad died of fright,' he says. 'Who killed him then?'" "'Twere drink and the devil that did for old Jessup," Sarah remarked. "The way he beat his poor old wife, the man had it coming to him, I say. No doubt Tilda Jessup'll grieve over long." Bess frowned down her long nose. "All the beatin' in the world, they don't give folks the right to act like maniacs. No regard for anybody. Mad for speed they are. That motor car was flying faster than a bullet." Harriet drew close, her eyes large with excitement. "Faster than a bullet," she mouthed. "Oh, Bess, you're lucky to be alive." Bess nodded. "Would have been dead as mutton if I hadn't flown into a ditch. But they'll get what's coming to them," she added with grim satisfaction. "I laid one of Gamma Gerton's best curses on that motor car, I did. They'll find out it don't do to treat Bess Gerton uncivil like. Sooner or later, they'll go smash." "You better watch out, Bess Gerton," Sarah cautioned. "You don't want to go laying curses on the gentry's motor cars. Curses can come to roost same as chickens." She heaved herself out of her chair. "You probably wanted to get home and put that wrenched ankle to soak. Pocket can take you in the pony cart and come back for you for the vicar. I'll get the blood." She paused, looking down at her friend, hoping to hear Bess's reason for walking out on a dark night to acquire a pint of fresh pig's blood. But Bess, still stroking the cat, was staring into the fire with such concentration that she didn't notice. So Sarah went to the pantry and fetched a glass container of blood, along with a packet of cake and a small crockery pot that had until recently contained a fine Dijon mustard. It was now full of quince jam. The cake and the jam were a gift from Sarah to Bess in honor of Bess's recent birthday. "Here be some cakes and jam," she said, handing the packet to Bess. "And the blood, put it in your basket and—" At that moment, disaster struck again. Sarah's fingers slipped. The jar dropped to the stone floor and smashed. The pig's blood, no longer as fresh as it had been, showered the cat, splashed the hem of Bess Gurdon's woolen skirt, and puddled, stinking and greasy, on the stones of the hearth. The cat jumped off of Bess's lap and streaked for the door. Bess cried out and leapt up, knocking over a jar of vinegar and herbs that had been set up to steep near the warmth of the fire. The sharp tang of vinegar mingled with the heavy stench of blood. "Oh!" Harry moaned, backing away superstitiously. "Spilt blood comes from the devil." "Stuff and nonsense," Sarah snapped. "'Tis just blood and vinegar. Get them up, Harriet, and clean it up." But Harriet's face had gone white. Her teeth were chattering. She clasped her hand under her chin. "Oh, please, Mrs. Pratt, I beg." "Oh, get on with you," Sarah said disgustedly. "I'll do it." She had just fetched the mop when Mud entered the kitchen, his jaw set, his glance lowering. "Well now, Mrs. Pratt, you've gone and done it," he said, in a tone he reserved for pointing out Sarah's errors. In his late 20s, Mud was young for a butler's position. He compensated for his youth by imitating an authority he could scarcely claim from experience. Sarah turned mop in hand. "Done what?" she growled. "And I'll thank you to stay away from the hearth, Mr. Mutt. We had a bit of an accident." "There's been an accident above stairs too," Mutt said. "The Black Clear Knight was tarred as may be." "Tarred?" Sarah cried, disbelieving. "Not my best ice." "It appears that you've left out the sugar, Mrs. Pratt." Mutt shook his head sadly. "Her ladyship was mortally embarrassed." And Sarah Pratt, now completely overwhelmed by tragedies, burst into tears.